Well, John, here we find ourselves in Thailand, and this podcast is going out all over the world. Both of us have been privileged to travel, so I've amassed an audience in several nations. So here we are, and just to introduce my good friend Jon. Jon and I have known each other for about 35 years, and he and Jenn are missionaries to the nation of Thailand. But you've been in a lot of other countries too.
Yes, sir.
As missionaries. So have Beth and I. And we tend to country hop because of our message. Sort of relates, and you're here. So, Jon, what I want to do is get a little bit of background on you guys, what you're doing here, how God is using you, and then what I've been doing here. And we'll give a report. And mainly, we want to talk about what God has been doing here on the mission field. So tell us about yourself.
So my wife and I, we've been married 29 years. We've got six kids, 4 biological sons, and 2 adopted daughters from China. And we've been involved with Youth with a Mission for 25 years. So it's been a little while. And we've been here in the north of Thailand, up near the Golden Triangle in Chiang Rai for the last 10 years.
And the Golden Triangle consists of Laos?
Laos, Myanmar or Burma, and Thailand.
Right.
And it's it's infamous for, at least used to be infamous for the opium trade, especially during the Vietnam War. It kind of put it on the map. So yeah, that's where we're at. We're also about 45 minutes south of the infamous cave where the soccer team got rescued. And we brought you guys there earlier during your visit, and so that's the location where we're at.
Right. And so how does God use you here?
Well, with YWAM, one of the things that I love about them is that they're very releasing, and so they allow us to kind of go with what we feel like God is calling us to do. And so we've worked with short-term outreach teams that will come into the country for 1 to 2 months, and we'll set up their outreaches and their ministries. But our main ministry here is with the International Christian School. It allows us not only our work permit and our visa to remain in the country legally, but allows us a venue to mentor and speak into and disciple young people. I teach guitar and bass to high school students. I work with a high school worship team and hopefully impart to them a passion for worship, which I've had for years. I teach a 6th grade Bible class, and then I run a Boy Scouts of America troop here, which is probably my favorite thing that I get to do, because Jenny and I, we started this 9 years ago, the Boy Scout troop here, and it gives us a venue to mentor young men into becoming men of character and ultimately, hopefully, men of God. And so it's been an amazing journey. Being able to speak into lives of parents, especially with the Scouts, with their parents, as well as the young people, and to see lives changed and character developed, and I love it.
It's not just here in Thailand that your Scout ministry has flourished, but I know right before I came, you were in Nepal.
Yes, sir.
And then Cambodia's come up in our conversations.
Yep. I run a trilogy camp where we rotate nations for a council-wide Scout camp, and that goes from Thailand to Nepal to Mongolia, and then we're thinking about rotating Cambodia in. That's still in the making. But we bring in a few hundred scouts and leaders from around the Far East Council, around Southeast Asia. And I love this because, again, it allows me a venue to speak into young men and now young ladies' lives. I've been able to develop some strong relationships and mentoring relationships with some leaders, some Scout leaders, some of which know Jesus and some of which are on their journey to meet him. And so it's been a great privilege to be able to have a voice on such a large platform.
Right. So you and I have known each other for a long time, and you've brought Beth and me here with the messages that we carry, which would be the books I've written on digital addiction.
Yes, sir.
Of course, freedom from that. Some people might be thinking, in a second world country, and then there are villages up in the mountains, and there's, all that happens in Southeast Asia. Why would there be a need for that here?
It really is shocking when you walk into the malls here, or into the equivalent to like a Walmart or something like that. I mean, there are just bays and kiosk of cell phones and technology. iPads, and whether they're knockoff or not, you've got literally a plethora of technology available. And the crazy thing is that minimum wage here is, $12 to $15 a day. And yet, they can figure out a way to purchase cell phones and get technology and, get their cell phone plans and all that stuff. And it's, for me, it's just, it's odd, because it doesn't seem feasible. If that was where I had my money, I would probably try to find somewhere else to invest it, but
maybe in food.
Yeah, you
and
think.
Clothes.
Yeah, you'd think so. And I mean, gas here is over $4 a gallon. So I mean, it's not like it's cheap in all aspects. But technology is here, and I mean, in one of the schools that you shared at this week, you're asking first through third grade, how many of you guys have a phone? And the majority of the hands went up for first through third grade, and honestly, Brad, that shocked me.
And that's why I came, because we go to other places such as Africa, and there's townships there, and the same poverty or lack in food and clothes. I mean, they have food and clothes, but there's not much.
Yep.
But they all seem to have phones, and it's the weirdest thing. And of course, with that comes digital addiction. But the other thing that I have had on my heart since my trip to Cambodia several years ago, I noticed in the missionary community, we're blessed and we're cursed almost. We have Western money because our minimum wage is higher than $12 a day.
Yep.
And that's where we're blessed, because then we can bring some resources in. We're able to help folks. But with that has also come our technology. We've brought our video games. We've brought all these things with us. And I don't have numbers for this, but it's a definite observation from being on the mission field. We're in trouble with our kids just like they are at home.
Yep.
Would you agree with that assessment?
Absolutely. I mean, being a missionary is not only a calling, it's also a vocation. It's a job, and jobs can get busy, and the temptation is, give your kid a phone, so that you can get some work done. And Jenny and I have been guilty of this throughout the years, and honestly, thanks to the insight that you've brought, we're trying to amend that, especially with our adopted daughters. And even yesterday during the church service, yesterday morning, it was translated from Lahu into English, but they just sat there and they colored. And I was like, for me, that was a success. That was a
breakthrough.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, it's like any other, we're not special people. We're not, super spiritual. We struggle. And so it's good to be reminded of the priorities and of our health, whether it's physically or mentally or emotionally. And so, yeah, it's something that we need to be reminded of and challenged in.
Yesterday, I was so privileged, and thanks to you for opening the door to go up, to the Lahu people, up in the village, up in the mountains. And then we did the church service, but then I did a youth meeting, because they have a wonderful center there where they work with children. And we had to, my translator, who's an awesome, awesome guy.
Yes, he is.
He looked and he pointed out, he goes, well, should we make the children on the front row get rid of their devices before we have this meeting? And I said, well, of course.
Yep.
And he went over gently, got the devices away so that we could have church.
Yep.
It's crazy that the most far remote places on earth, these tablets have taken hold. But I'll tell you, I have no numbers for this, Jon, but my burden is that it really seems like at times, not only am I a missionary with you, reaching out to the community, but I find myself having to challenge the missionaries in their homes. And because do you agree it's a problem that if we don't get a hold of this, we may lose the generation beneath us, just like we have in the Western world?
Absolutely. Sin is sin, and addiction's addiction, and struggles are struggles. And just because I'm a missionary does not mean I'm exempt from that, sadly enough. So. Yeah. So it's been a challenge, a good challenge and reminder, and the missionaries that you've been able to talk to, that I've then gotten feedback from, it's been good. We're still trying to meet out, how is this going to work, but it's put us on a healthy journey, and in that regard, I love that. One of my scouts who was at the junior high youth group that you shared at, he went home and he cleared out all the technology from his room, and he put a sign on his door and said technology free zone. And he told his parents, look, I want you to help me, keep me accountable, that I'm not, bringing my phone and my computer and stuff into my room. And I love that. Not only because this is a great young man that I'm getting the privilege of working with, but the fact that I'm seeing him apply, not just hearing the word, but actually doing what it says. And for me, I love that.
Yeah. Well, let's give a brief recap about what missionaries do. So you're on the ground here, living here.
Yes, sir.
I'm a missionary who visits other places around the world because my message is universal. Wherever there's a cell tower, I can go, despite the language. So, let's just talk about what we've done this week. You've opened up a lot of doors for Beth and me to bring our message, and we're grateful. So let's just give a recap of what missionaries do on the ground. So how are we reaching people?
Well, most of the venues that I've been able to inundate you with has been through the International Christian School that I work with, that provides me with the visa and work permit. But yeah, I've seen you be able to share with the middle school youth group. Tomorrow night is the high school youth group. You're going to be doing a strength and conditioning class this summer, or this next week. You'll have a couple of those classes. So not only getting the digital aspect, but the physical and and the health aspect that you bring. But
It's just another way to reach into their hearts.
It is. And Caden, my boy, he's excited for it. And I think he's gonna have fun, and he'll feel it the next day or two. Yeah, we've had you share in multiple high school health classes, in classes with the juniors and senior class as they're preparing for life after school. You've been able to do a parent seminar, and then this afternoon you're doing one that's going to be translated into English and Korean to meet the needs of some of our other ethnic groups at our school. You've been able to share at the other international school here in Chiang Rai. We've got 2 primary international schools, although there is a third one that you'll be sharing at next week. But the international school here, you were able to teach 1st through 3rd, then 4th through 6th, then 7th through 9th, and then 10th through 12th. And then you did a parent seminar, and you had 40 some parents. You've been blessed to have great translators.
Yes.
Every single time. I've been very impressed. That's not always the case. And I was really hoping that you were not going to be stuck with me because your message would have been very simplified. Google Translate would be frowned upon.
Getting
even
a
in
workout.
that. Yeah. So you've shared at our church up in Mesai, up in the Golden Triangle, and you shared there last week, and then this yesterday you did a Q&A time with their youth group, and that was amazing to see. Because you could tell that some of them have been thinking about stuff for the last week, and if this is what it means, then the implications are this. Is that what you're really saying? And the implications for technology and digital rehab it's real, and it's not an easy thing. And so I appreciate you've brought grace in with the message, and it's not a message of condemnation and legalism and you got to get this right or God doesn't love you. I love that about you and Beth and what you've brought, but it's been a challenge. And so also you did one of our seniors at our school. Every senior within our International Christian School has to do a project where they have to conceive the idea and fundraise for the idea and recruit teams for the idea and then implement it. And she wanted to do a seminar regarding digital addiction, and especially when she found out that you were coming in, obviously you were the keynote. But we partnered with another ministry called Ezekiel Rain that works with getting kids out of trafficking and the human trafficking, sex trafficking stuff. And we had 60 people there in attendance, and that was amazing. Lydia pulled off a great project. Again, great translator, and it was just an amazing blessing to see you being able to speak into these communities, whether it was kids from children's homes, which we saw at the youth group, as well as at the Saturday seminar, whether it was parents, whether it was school-age kids. It's been a blessing. So I've kept you busy, and I kind of apologize, but I really don't. So yeah, it's been a good week.
What you're trying to say is, I think we totaled up approximately 16 times I spoke in 1 week.
Yes, and I think I heard all but 2 of those.
Yeah. So now you can repeat my message after I leave.
I can try. I can try. No, it's. I brought a book. I brought a paper book to one of your sessions where I knew you were going to be teaching it 4 times, and I had to keep putting it away because you kept adding things to it that I didn't hear the last time. I think I got through 3 pages. I mean, in 4 hours. Come on, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, listen. I've had people ask me, why do you go to Africa? Because the perception from the West, or the Americans anyway, is National Geographic.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get on the ground, and there is that, but then there's Western culture there.
Absolutely.
There's money there. And the weird thing is, in townships where they don't have hardly any money and clothes and that sort of thing, everybody's got technology. You'll see a glow coming out of the windows just like you would in any home in America or in Australia or New Zealand.
Yep.
Same thing here. So I was very privileged to speak at a couple of different people groups. And tell us about that and the oddness of them having technology.
Thailand is comprised of multiple people groups or hill tribe peoples. You had the opportunity to share with the Lahu people, which is an ethnic group here, with the Aka people. And the Aka people, we're actually seeing a strong revival coming through the Aka people here in the north. Then God's really doing something great.
You could feel the presence of God in that auditorium.
Yeah, it was amazing. In the leader of the Aka Outreach Foundation that we worked with was the first Aka to actually graduate from college and Bible seminary. So he's been a good friend of ours, him and his wife for years, for the last 10 years. But even last night with we had a lot of Burmese and Thais in our church, in the youth group that and actually your translator is Burmese. So I mean you've hit 4 different people groups just within the north of Thailand, not including the Dutch and the Aussies and the Americans and the Canadians. So yeah, you've done a little mini outreach within the outreach within the outreach. So it's been good.
And finally, the predominant religion here that you're reaching into would be Buddhist, and then other religions represented here. We saw the big, the idols we would say on the hill, but the big white lady we're calling her, that's Chinese.
Chinese Buddhism.
Yeah,
yes.
Chinese Buddhism. So they sort of have it mixed. And then we were up in the Golden Triangle. There was the Chinese version of Buddha, the happy guy.
Yep.
So is it a challenge reaching into these people groups with that religion?
Thailand is the world's largest Buddhist nation by percentage. Estimated 97% of Thais are Buddhist. Now, whether they're practicing or not is similar to America. We're a Christian nation or whatever. But getting into that or speaking into that, it is tricky. It's a long, slow process. I've ministered in Africa and Central America, and you do an altar call, and they already have some sort of an understanding, and you'll see hearts change. Here, it's a lot slower. It's way more through relationships, and we have Buddhist families who will want to send their kids to our international Christian school because it's in English, and we're very straightforward. We're like, they're going to have Bible classes, and we're going to tell them about Jesus, and the word prakampi is the word Bible in Thai, and we're going to read this, and they're going to study the Bible, and they're like, well, that's fine as long as it's in English. So we've got some of these kids we'll have for 12 years, K through 12, and being able, or 13 years, but be able to speak into their lives, and we've seen students come to know Jesus and their parents as an effect of that as well, come to know the Lord. But it is a slow process, and it can get discouraging sometimes. The sexual addictions and the sexual confusion that we have in this nation as well, which is definitely spreading in the West, as we see. It takes a beating on a lot of the missionaries. So yeah, we need prayer here as we continue to labor and serve and love on these people.
Well, I think those who are watching this, if they've lasted this long, because the attention spans around the world are pretty short, I'm guessing there are people who pray. So you know how to pray for us, Jon. It's just mention that the spiritual warfare, being in a nation full of idolatry, and we're not putting the people down by saying it.
No,
They're
no.
lovely.
Yep. Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah, they're lovely people. But the reality is, it's idolatry, and they
Yep.
need Jesus, and that's why we're here. We love them, and
Yep.
we care about them. So pray for that, and for Beth and me as we go from country to country. The spiritual warfare on both of us is horrendous, and the need financially is there. And so I'm going to put both of our contact information at the bottom on how they can support us if they would like to do that financially. So, Jon, our prayer has been all along that this would, if God wills, because I love you and I've known you so long, and it's worked this week. And the connections have been deep, and we've watched God work. And I hope, Beth and I, if it's left up to us, it would be a regular or semi-regular thing to make this one of our stops as we traverse the planet. So thank you, and Jen, we love you.
Well, I appreciate you guys coming. You've slid into a very crazy household, and you've done it well. It's not a quiet house. It's not a quiet car ride, but you've done well. So come back whenever God allows.
Yeah, but you're the good side of the family, so it was easy.
Well, that's beside the point.
All right, love you, buddy.
Love you too, man.
All right.
Cheers.